top 14 best signings from Rosbeast Rugby. Yes, your one-stop shop for all things French rugby in the English language. We have gone for our favourite signings for the season ahead in the top 14. There are plenty of them. The top 14 really showing their economic, financial muscle this summer. So many players moving clubs within the top 14, players coming from outside the league to France for the first time. Trying to pick a short list, a top 10, whatever, was too hard. We've kind of just bundled them all together. No rankings. We have found 14. There is not one per club because some clubs have made some fantastic signings and others haven't really done that much. If your club isn't on there, please shout at us in the comments. And if you find this interesting, and hopefully you will, and insightful, giving you an insight into top 14, please subscribe to Rosbeast Rugby, where you will get a whole host of French rugby content in the English language. So let's get into these best signings. We didn't really have a criteria for this. They just had to have moved clubs, had to be signed by someone this summer. We've not ranked them, but I'd say the ones at the top there are the ones that we are kind of fighting out for. This is the best signing of the season. One of the best signings of the season that we wanted to go for, bit parochial maybe, as Englishman, Zach Mercer to Toulon. He was absolutely phenomenal the last time he played in the top 14. He was player of the season in 2022 when Montpellier won the top 14. He was excellent the year after and then kind of transferred to England to try and get a spot in the World Cup and to play for England. For whatever reason, that hasn't worked out. A few injuries maybe. His face doesn't quite fit under Steve Borthwick. This is a phenomenal pickup for Toulon. He feels a very Toulon kind of player in that he might get a little bit of freedom to roam while the tight five and the flankers do a lot of the dirty work. They've got a great pack that does a load of work around the park. So maybe he will be the one that gets that free reign. A little bit like Lester Fainga'anuku and outside centre got last year. If he gets that like he did at Montpellier, wow, he is going to have a stellar season. What a pickup. Can't wait to see more of him playing. Hopefully get a bit more game time. The other kind of big best signing that we've called out is David Niniashvili. Like, this guy is an absolute freak, can do it all, just the most electrifying player to watch. He's been signed by La Rochelle. He's still only 22, I think. Like, he feels like he's been around forever. What a player. Like, he's so good. Scored some absolute wonder tries, viral videos every week. He will have been the envy. To pick him up, that's the envy of every club in the top 14. Every club in the top 14 would love to have signed David Niniashvili. La Rochelle have done it. La Rochelle, side that needed some life and some youth and some pace. They have now definitely got that with David Niniashvili. And one of the other brilliant signings, in fact, they've made 4 big signings. If you've watched our previous video on young players to watch, you'll have seen 2 of them from La Rochelle. Their other 2 big signings, senior signings, David Niniashvili and Nolan Le Garrec. Another brilliant pickup. Perhaps has his detractors at international level, hasn't quite nailed it at international level for France, but at top 14 level, this guy is one of the best there. I know there's a long list of 9s in France, but Nolan Le Garrec did so much for Racing 92 last season and the season before. It felt at times he was a one-man team, that he was the one that was going to, if they were going to do anything, it was going to come from Nolan Le Garrec, to the point that you could argue that he was a bit selfish, but you can't really blame them because they were shambolic at times, and he was just leading the way, leading point scorer. Like, at this level, the way he links up with Antoine Hastoy is going to be really cool to see. Again, giving a bit of pace to that La Rochelle side that really needs it. I am proudly wearing my Pau t-shirt and a Pau hat, and 2 of the best signings we think are Pau players, and I don't think that is too kind of biased from my Pau bias. Julian Montoya, everyone knows, like, international class, world-class hooker. Test Centurion with Argentina captain through a lot of their recent success as they've developed as a nation. Brilliant player at Leicester, captained at Leicester, part of a fantastic tight 5 that restored Leicester to its Leicesterness. And he has signed for Pau, a side that has a good line-out, so that helps. They don't need that fixing, but the scrum and the pack and just that edge and experience in the pack was really lacking. They're a young side, fantastically exciting backs. They just needed a bit more grunt and bite. And another player that has made a kind of top of our list in there, or battling out for one of the signings of the season, is another number 8, the guy that Zach Mercer is replacing at Toulon, Facundo Issa. Again, at times last season, Pau lacked dynamism in the forwards. They lacked a bit of ball carrying. Some of the guys like Carmen Tuablotto, when he came in, he was brilliant, made such a big impact because he was carrying and was active and dynamic and got over the gain line. They can't have enough of them. So they've got Gorgadze. They were too reliant on him. They've brought in Facundo Issa now. Hopefully he'll get plenty of game time. He was back to the form that kind of he made his name with last season, I reckon. Brilliant signing for Pau. 2 really good signings in an area that they really needed bolstering. Just some bite and some physicality. Another Toulon player that's left, Juta Wanikolo. Again, another viral rugby player. Some of the tries he scored last season were absolutely freakish. Just wonder tries, just everything for Gian. The biggest freak show since, I think we saw on Twitter over some of the biggest freak show since Rapeni Falthau. He is phenomenally quick, brilliant defender beater. Great signing for Lyon. He, I guess, replaces Semi Randrandra or kind of fills a bit of the hole for David Niniashvili. Fantastic pickup. Kind of don't need to tell any more of him. We've seen him at this level. We know what he can do. Give him the ball, he'll score tries. Couple of other Toulon signing, or guys involved in Toulon, or a couple, Ignacio Brett. So they have lost Lester Fainga'anuku, who was one of their best players by quite some way last year. So physical, did loads of work both sides of the ball, but just so active, ball in hand. Nacho Brex has garnered loads of fans over recent Six Nations, loads of physicality, classy player, good defender. That's a good signing. It's certainly a good replacement for Fainga'anuku. I think Fainga'anuku is a better player, but Ignacio Brex, that feels like a good pickup for Toulon. They have also lost in the centres Duncan Paiawa, who has gone to Perpignan. Duncan Paiawa is a weird one. Hasn't played loads, has a horrible injury record, really. But when he is fit, you're talking like top 14 player of the weekend, top 14 player of the month, multiple occasions. He is so good. His all-round game, just classy in attack, pace, power, really good defender, good kicking game. Can play 12, can play 15. I'd like to see him play 12 at Perpignan, I think. But it'll be interesting to see where he fits in. He's got to play. De La Fuente captains quite often from 12, so maybe he'll play fullback where he plays for Samoa. Another Perpignan pickup that we really like, perhaps our Britishness, my Scottishness, Jamie Ritchie, a player I've always loved, really niggly. Doesn't feel perhaps like a kind of typical top 14 player, maybe, especially in the back row, but I guess he's active around the park. He's a good line-out option. He's feisty, gets in over the ball. He could have a real, like, he's refound his best form in the Six Nations. Could have a real renaissance generally and really could improve. We could see him have the level of improvement that we've seen from Blair Kinghorn maybe at Toulouse, and maybe a very different environment at Perpignan, but who knows how he will improve. He's a former Scotland captain. That just feels like a good pickup for Perpignan. Where else are we? So let's look at other back rowers. Alexander Fisher, who feels like he'd had a couple of quiet seasons, but has made this list because he was man of the match, I think, in 2 games or France's best player in 2 out of the 3 games, maybe, over the summer against New Zealand. Just phenomenal work rate, loads of tackling, loads of jackling. Bayonne have a good back 5 of the scrum. They've got a good pack. Slightly different player, Alexander Fisher, but a guy that's going to tackle his heart out, and they will love that at Bayonne. He will fit into that pack quite nicely. Elsewhere in the back row, via Fafita, a guy that can't wait to see in the top 14. He feels like a sort of player that will succeed in the top 14, whether he's going to play 6 as a big physical 6 option. You know, he has played second row in the past, but the pace, the athleticism, the ball carrying, the dynamism, that feels a lot like kind of like Victor Vito was at La Rochelle. A slightly kind of more physical, taller option, but just such an exciting player at his best. So a great pickup for Montauban. Pretty much their only big signing. He could have quite a lot of work rate, a lot of work to do for Montauban this season. And then I guess kind of where else do we want to go? Tuarika Barlow, Stade Francais. So he's kind of came to the end of his contract at La Rochelle. Fantastic player for La Rochelle for years now. Key part of their success as they kind of got to Champions Cup finals and won the Champions Cup. I think he actually missed one of the finals. But just the key beating heart of that brilliant La Rochelle side. Was good when other players were crap. When La Rochelle were good, he was still the best player for me on the pitch. Great pickup for Stade Francais. They were really weak at half-back last season, especially when fellow former All Black, Brad Webber, got injured. He had a really nasty twisted ankle. We're expecting him to miss a big chunk of the season again this season. Tuarika Barlow, pretty much the only other scrum half certainly non-French scrum half that you could pick up that would be better than Brad Webber. Great signing, fantastic player still, love his pass, arguably still the best Kiwi-born scrum half in world rugby, behind Aaron Smith, ahead of Jamison Gibson Park. Come fight me, Irish fans. Then a couple of front row options. So Taniela Tupou, talking of Jamison Gibson Park and the Lions, well, Taniela Tupou had a renaissance of his own against the Lions over the summer and has been playing in the Rugby Championship. Obviously had his times out of the Australia squad and actually not even making the Reds starting lineup. Had his personal problems, has had his times not loving rugby. Seems to have got his love for it back and found his best form. He's playing a lot of minutes as well for Australia. And so that's why we've picked him up, because Racing have kind of struggled at scrum time for quite a few years now. We're talking like 5-6 years maybe, since they had Big Ben Tameifuna. Feels like a great option. Whether he's going to kind of come off the bench, he feels like he'll enjoy La Défense as well, that quick track with his ball carrying, because he is dynamic around the park. Interesting to see how he goes. Could become a meme, could be a complete flop, could be the next Jackie Lorenzetti. Knives are out for him, but we're really hopeful because of the form he's shown over the summer. And then perhaps the least exciting of this list, Gaetan Barlow, a hooker from Castres. He captained France in that second test against New Zealand this summer. Just a really good nuts and bolts player. Really good at line-out time, really good at scrum time, good in the tight. Not as flashy as Maxime Lamotte, the incumbent at Bordeaux. Maxime Lamotte scores a load of tries. Gaetan Barlow has scored like 1 or 2 in the last 2 seasons. Interested to see where they go. Will they kind of keep with Lamotte, the kind of flamboyance and the ball running like Bordeaux we've come to expect from Bordeaux over the last couple of years? Or have they recognised that their line-out is very, very frail, their scrum is very, very frail, and therefore Gaetan Barlow, who is preferred at the national level by Fabien Galthié to Maxime Lamotte, will Gaetan Barlow get the starting hooker berth, or will they just rotate them? Be really interesting to see. Either way, this guy's a good player, really good, consistent top 14 performer, and a tight 5 forward, which we thought Bordeaux need. Their line-out was poor last season, despite the fact they won the Champions Cup. It was remarkably good in the final, which was a bit of an anomaly. That's why we've picked him in this list, because he could transform Bordeaux-Bègles into an even more consistent side and stop the kind of cover over the weaknesses. 14 players from the top 14 that have signed for a new club this summer. Let us know what you think. We know it's a long list. There are a whole host of players that we have missed out. If you think there's a player that should be in there, put it in the comments. And we've probably got a reason why we haven't put them in, because we really studied this. We've got strong opinions. We want to come at you. We want to discuss it. Let's have a chat about it. Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, give us a subscribe and give us a like so that we're boosted and we can continue to bring you more brilliant content on the top 14 and Pro Data and everything else in French rugby in the English language. Thanks very much for watching. Please get in touch.